Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another webinar on this rather beautiful, very warm and sunny day. I'm joined today, actually across Europe, across the world, from three very esteemed colleagues I now know in the industry, Dr. Michael Salmandinger, Barbara Eck, and Dan Luxgrove. We're coming to you from London, from Cheshire, and from Austria as well. The reason I wanted to have this topic today, lab-grown diamonds, and education, explanation and celebration, was really because during the period of lockdown, I've tried to take the opportunity to undertake a lot of research and learning. And I couldn't get as much information or credible or honest information that I was wanted on this subject until I was put in touch with these colleagues who are with me today. And they really gave me some fantastic answers and contacts with credibility and transparency. And the reason I wanted them to join me today was because they, in Swarovski, look after both obviously mined and natural diamonds and gemstones and laboratory grown diamonds. So they will really give us the credible insight that I think we're all looking for. So we're going to go through the technical aspect. Michael will help us with that. We'll look at the understanding of how laboratory grown diamonds are grown. Barbara will talk us through the opportunity, and we're all looking for new opportunities in this new market. And Dax will talk us and help us through the issue of sustainability. A little bit of housekeeping. You can see the panelists, some great slides, so make sure you can see the contents of them. So make sure that the panelist who is talking is up on the right-hand side. Please, you can see at the bottom the Q&A button. Please post your questions to us. I still have a lot of questions that I'll be asking, but it'd be great to get your voice too. There's also the chat, so please just tell me who's here. Just say hello to us, but please make sure this is very, very interactive. So why is this important to me? Well, as a gemologist, I'm often asked about my opinion of laboratory grown diamonds. And for me, it's very, very simple. A lab grown diamond is physically, chemically, and optically identical to a natural diamond. But if we think of a gemstone having the definition of being rare, durable, and beautiful, and yet the supply is being controlled of a man-made subject, it is not rare, therefore it's not a gemstone. So this is a diamond, it's not a gemstone. And very clearly, though, these both have a place in the market. And I think they both have an element of magic that I love to celebrate. So let's go on a journey. And I'm going to hand you over to people who, as I say, can give you far more transparency and credibility in this subject. So, Michael, over to you.
Thank you, Helen, for the introduction. And good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for attending. As Helen just explained to you, mined diamonds and created diamonds are physically and chemically identical. All properties are the same, and they are different to imitations like zirconium, moissanite, or others. And of course, Helen is right, you can make them, you can reproduce them in a lab. There is still one difference to other synthetics. If you take, for example, synthetic ruby. This synthetic ruby emerald we could distinguish with the tools we learned many years ago in gemology, with refractometers, with cross polarizers, whatever. With lab-grown diamonds, the things are much more complex and complicated. It really needs not only very skilled gemologists, it also needs sophisticated tools. Those tools like infrared spectrometers, they would cost like £100,000 up some years ago. Meanwhile, this is more available. The technology, you can buy that for like £10,000 or something. But still, you need skills to distinguish them. It's not possible by the eye or by the loupe to see the difference. Well, the way they are made, can you switch the slide, please, Barbara? Thank you. There's two ways to make diamonds in a lab or in a factory. The one technology is called the high pressure, high temperature, or abbreviated HPHT technology. Basically, this simulates the conditions where the diamonds formed, which was like something like 150 kilometers beneath our Earth's surface under high pressure, high temperature. You simulate these conditions in a press. Those presses have like 60 tons, are like several meters high. And in there, you have a growth cell, which is fairly small. It's like a small box only. And there you grow the diamond out of carbon, which is in there, plus some additives, which make them grow. You also need a seed crystal or seed crystals. They act as a nucleus where the diamond forms and grows. Such a growth, how long does it take? It depends on how big you want those diamonds. It can be hours and few days for small diamonds, and it can be weeks when you make big diamonds. There is another growth method, which is called CVD technology. The technology comes basically from the semiconductor industry. It's a little bit different. You have low pressure, almost a vacuum, but high temperature. The high temperature is generated by a plasma, which is generated through a microwave. So basically you can say it's a big microwave oven where you have slices of diamond, of polished diamond, well orientated, and you add methane gas, which is the carbon carrier, and basically the plasma breaks up these atoms, these molecules, and the carbon atoms rain basically on those seed plates. And with a speed of 10 to 20 micrometers per hour, it takes something like 12 days to grow rough. That makes it 1 carat, or any longer if you want to get bigger. Next slide, please. So as we said, the lab-grown diamonds, they cannot be easily distinguished. That's why when we want to offer this to the market, we want to make absolutely clear what the customer gets. It's a man-made product. Unambiguously, you should see that. That's why for stones for 10 points up, we have an engraving on the star facet, which can be seen by 20 loop. A well-skilled person with good eyesight can possibly see the 10-fold loop. The 20-fold loop will do the job. Then you can see, and it's very clear this is a man-made product. The grading of the stones, next slide please, is done in the same way as you do it for mined diamonds. It's the same 4 C's: clarity, color, cut, and carat weight. You also can have them certified. We use a certification by IGI for 70 pointers up, which is around 5.8 millimeter, as you know. The product line, the product range, what you can offer is basically everything that nature also gives you. You can have from melis up to multi-caraters to even in white, even there's silver stones over 20 carats already produced. Likewise, what nature produces, the rarest of diamonds, fancy colors, you can also make them with basically the same principles as they came up with nature. What did nature do to color them? It's basically the ingredients nature has, which is heat, pressure, and natural irradiation. When you apply those same principles, you can obtain those, or recreate the conditions, and you can obtain those fancy colors. As said, in nature, they're very rare. Some colors are extremely rare and therefore highly priced, like red is one of the rarest colors. That's why in lab grown, it's also a little bit similar. Some colors are easier to generate. Some colors are very tricky. Pink, for example, is one of the tricky colors to make a really nice pink. And what opportunity those lab-grown diamonds can give you, Barbara will now explain to you. Barbara, are you here?
Barbara, you need to unmute.
You unmute, please.
Hello, warm welcome also from my side. Sorry, I was muted. I would now like to give you some information on the opportunity we see in the lab-created field, lab-created diamonds field, as well as some market data, market research data we did in the past, and also ways how to position created diamonds in the best way. So first of all, let's have a look to the opportunity. We believe there's a huge opportunity for lab-created diamonds. There's an opportunity to occupy a completely new segment in fine jewelry. you can position yourself as a true leader, as being very, very innovative in offering lab-created diamonds. And there is a big potential we see there, and also the last year showed in the rising figures. So going a little bit more into detail to the figures, the global, if we look at the global diamond jewelry market, as you may know, that the mined diamond jewelry market is roughly about $80 billion US. The lab-created diamond jewelry market is already $8 billion US. So roughly, these are estimations, roughly 10%. There are different studies, different estimations, I have to say, in terms of loose stones. The estimation is that the polished lab-created diamonds is about $500 million US up to $1 billion. So it varies a little bit because studies vary. But the most important thing here is the growth rate. So we see a real interesting growth rate in this market from 7 to 20% until 2023, and after that, still double-digit growth rates, which is a very highly potential market. What did we see also in the last years and months? The created diamonds market is radically changing in many aspects. There are lots of improvements in production, making also the created diamonds really highly competitive in the market. We see also that the created diamonds, they play an essential role in jewelry, and also for the younger and for the new target groups like millennials and Generation Z. So these target groups, especially also for bridal, they are really very positive on the lab-created diamonds, and many of them consider a lab-created diamond for their engagement ring. We see also the market will continue to grow significantly, as I said before, double digits. We see a significant business, especially in the US so far, but we think this will also come over to Europe. Significant business in the bridal and in the engagement market, as well also in classical studs and solitaires. And margins are higher, and there are also attractive price premiums to be made, also with branded stones and jewelry. We did consumer research, I would say since 2013, more or less. We looked into the topic for about 10 years already, 10 to 15 years now, and we did lots of research and also test market where we gathered information directly from the consumer and from the customer. So what we see is that more and more consumers, they know the category now, but still they lack detailed knowledge. So education is important, especially for the end consumers. What we also found out is that consumers are easier to convince than retailers. So they get the story quite quickly, but they need the proper education. Retail price points, here I'm talking about jewelry. We found out, but the basis is actually the US, that the prices needs to be about 30 to 40% below the prices of mined diamond jewelry. This is what works, at least in the US. So there needs to be a price difference, it's a substantial price difference. Bridal, as I said before, this has a huge potential, and it is also the largest market. Sustainability is important. It's also one of our main, also very, very important for Swarovski. But in consumer research, we found out it is an aspect, it is important for customers, but it is not the first thing they are thinking about. And the brand Swarovski positively influences the whole category. Here we have a price comparison of a mined diamond and a lab-grown diamond. If you look at the same price, you can get, for the same price, you can get a 1 carat mine diamond, whereas you could get for the same price, same quality, a 1.8 carat lab-grown diamond, which is quite something, and it is substantially, prices of lab-graded diamonds are substantially below mine diamonds. So in terms of wholesale prices, it means roughly at the moment 40 to 70% less than mine diamonds. And in retail prices, if you still talk about the stones, it's about 50 to 67% less. But for sure, you have to, it differs in the sizes, it differs in the qualities. This is just one example. It will be a little bit different if you talk about larger stones, or if you talk about smaller stones or different qualities. It's just as an example to see how big the price difference is about. And with this chart, I would like to conclude. This is our experience, what is important when you position lab-graded diamonds for the consumer. So on the one hand side, it's 100% diamonds. This is one of the most important topics. So it is identical to mine diamonds. As Michael said, possessing the same chemical, physical, and optical attributes. It is a real diamond. Build trust in the material. This is important. We need to have altogether an open and clear declaration that this is a lab-graded diamond and not a mine diamond. At the beginning, and I'm talking here about 6-7 years ago, mine diamonds and lab-graded diamonds were mixed together in parcels and were sold as mine diamonds. This is really harming this segment, and it's really important to do very proper and very clear declaration also to the end consumer. Very, very important. Educate and communicate with consumers is important. One of the most important topics are, these are real diamonds. They get value for money, so they are more affordable, and the sustainable aspect. Man-made as a positive. We do not want to devalue or fight mine diamonds. This is a very clear position from us as Swarovski. We believe very much in that both can coexist very successfully. There is a place and will always be a place for mine diamonds, but there is also a place for lab-graded diamonds. And the consumer makes the choice. So the consumer takes the choice, and he selects, does he want to go for a mine diamond, or does he want to go for another piece of jewelry, maybe for lab-graded diamonds. We see lab-graded diamonds for many occasions, for birthdays, anniversaries, Valentine's. Self-purchase is also a big topic, as well as also wedding and engagement. And we have customers in the US who do already half of their business, half of their engagement and bridal business with lab-graded diamonds. Mine diamonds are the benchmark in prices. This is very clear to us. It's not moissanite, it's not zirconia or any other product. Mine diamond is the benchmark in pricing. So this is it in terms of positioning. And then I would like to give the word back to Michael.
As Barbara mentioned already, it's also that sustainability side where the lab-grown diamonds always come into the talk. And as Barbara also said, we are really against that positioning. This is good, this is bad. There's good examples on the mining side, there's bad examples on the mining side. Same is true for lab-grown. It's the how and not the what. The diamond industry has come a long way now and is making good progress in really reducing their footprints. But well, there's one upside from lab-grown. The resources consumption is less. You don't need land usage. Water consumption is low, even when you have to use cooling water. You have closed circuit water. Air pollution is less, to name some. For the processing of the stones, we either, for example, process them within our own factories, which are RJC certified, or with suppliers who endorsed our supplier code of conduct, and we also go to have them audited against standards. This is also where it comes to, there's good examples in the industry, there's bad examples in the industry. The highest impact is, of course, the energy consumption, which is there. You need energy to grow a diamond. What can be done for now is to work on compensation models. For example, there is www.atmosphere.de who support projects in countries which can reduce the carbon footprint. This is for now the solution of choice. Yeah, this is Barbara. I think you can add on that.
We believe, as Helen said at the beginning, we can celebrate these new possibilities. We believe there are lots of possibilities with lab-created diamonds, and we strongly believe this will make a big part of the business of the diamond business in the future. Now I think it's time to go into the open discussion, to come back to your questions. Here we have some information on, if in case you have any further questions, please refer or come back to Wolfgang Wagner, who is our sales representative for Europe, and you find the email address here. But now, Helen, I give the word back to you to come back with questions.
Thank you so much. I just love that. That was fantastic. And in every slide, there was such fantastic information to explain the content from all of you. So thank you so much. Let me tell you about some of the questions and some of the chat that we've been having. So first of all, from the chat, we have Howard Levine with us, who I know is a friend to us all. And I think Howard really sums it up. You know, when you've said that consumers are easy to convince, it's the retailers that need that support and need that understanding. And I'll probably say from a retailer's perspective as well, and the reason that I undertook the research that I've done over lockdown was because I wanted to know how to position them both together. And I think, Michael, you did that so well in that last slide about responsibility. But, you know, I think Dax is with us, can you talk to us a little bit more about how we would position the sustainability of both the natural and the lab grown together?
Dax, do you want to jump on that, please?
Yeah, and Helen, thanks for the question. I mean, I think, you know, we've got this incredible time at the moment with the pandemic, and consumers are facing lockdown, and there's big store closures, and it's very tough times for all of us. And we're trying to ensure that we bounce back as fast as we can. But it's also a time for reflection. I mean, customers have started to think what really matters to them. And I think coming out of this period, there's a question on what is luxury. And the old sort of definition of luxury is, well, it's a high quality thing. And there's highly valuable things to look at in the luxury industry. And rare stones are what makes luxury, and precious stones. And I think that is becoming the old definition. And I think actually, customers in the future, especially the millennials, the younger customers who will be our future customers, there's a new definition of luxury emerging. And they want to know it's not necessarily rare, it's actually responsible. And I think as in the jewelry sector, all of us have to be much more transparent. And whether we're offering natural stones or lab stones, we have to begin to tell the customer, here is where these stones are coming from. Here is how they were made. Here are the checks that we have in place to make sure that the supply chain is responsible. There are good environmental practices in place. There are good labor conditions in place for the cutters, for the polishers, for the people in the laboratories and at the mines. And that's the thing we all need to work on. So I think, you know, we're starting to move into a new era where customers expect us to be much firmer on making sure that whatever jewelry we provide them with, we are producing that jewelry in very socially and environmentally responsible ways. And I think the other just thing to add to that is, you know, there are things as brands we need to stand for when we're offering products to customers. And at Swarovski, you know, we do stand for women empowerment, for example. We stand for sustainable innovation. You know, lab stones are part of innovation and sustainability. So we stand for various things. We also stand for fairness in the supply chain, doing more to make sure that suppliers get a fair deal wherever they may be in the world. So I think luxury is changing. And one of the things we do to package all these issues together, which is not easy, is at the moment our current offer is of conscious luxury. So that is the package of all the things we do. But it's saying that we're conscious. We haven't got it perfect yet. No product or business out there is fully sustainable. There is no perfection. We're all on a journey. And so conscious luxury is what we're moving into.
Yeah, I think that's really crucial, isn't it? And that's why I think the transparency of the messaging and the information that you're giving is so credible. And I think to Michael's point as well, that in both sectors there are good and bad producers in both sides, and that's how we will, as a retailer, by making the right choices along the supply chain, be able to deliver the message of the sustainability criteria of both of them. So I think, Howard, you're asking, can a jeweller sell both natural and lab grown without causing confusion? This is the very purpose of this webinar, is to answer those questions, so that this is a resource available now for retailers to be able to understand that the story is so much better. Lucy Loops has asked, is it completely sustainable and environmentally friendly? Michael, could you maybe just go back to the point you were making about some of the energy emissions with the lab grown and the energy consumption and the compensation measures that you're putting in? Because this is my experience, you know, some people may just say, oh, you know, a lab grown diamond is totally the green and an environmentally friendly solution. So can you add some accuracy to that, please?
Yeah, we're having maybe a very similar discussion like with cars. Electric cars, are they green or not? It's a fact of the matter, you need energy to grow a diamond, but you also need energy to extract the diamond from the ground. And there are several studies, there's academics who work on that. Some studies come to similar conclusions, some to different. The most recent was released by Trucost in May 2019. It was commissioned by the Diamond Producers Association, which came to a footprint of 160 kilograms of CO2 per carat mined diamond. Whereas a critical approach for that would be, you cannot have a one value fits all diamonds approach, because it's different if you have an ASM miner in Guinea who has a sieve, he has practically zero CO2 consumption, or you have a huge mine, a mechanized mine, has of course higher input of energy, consumption of energy, and hence output of CO2. That Trucost study also came to a value of 511 kilograms of CO2 equivalent for lab grown, which we asked them, they took the data out of various literature citations, which somehow doesn't give a correct picture. When you know from growing, when you know the growing machines, you have all the specification sheets. You have 6 kilowatts, for example, for certain types of machines for CVD growth. You calculate how many carats I get per time unit, for example, a month, and you come to a realistic value of 240 kilowatts, which translates into 200 kilograms of CO2 equivalent for the lab-grown diamond, which is more or less level with mined. What you can do for now, of course, the best thing would do, you have a known power station, hydro power station, where you have green energy. Then you could call it really sustainable or something. To date, that's not available yet. So to date, the best option is that we compensate through projects. Okay, the same thing is when you take a flight and you have bad content, you compensate your CO2 consumption for the flight through such projects. In the future, of course, we are working on, also with our partners, that we build up, for example, wind parks, solar power stations, which really offset in a real way the power consumption to grow a diamond.
Right. Thank you. We have a rather technical, intelligent question from Joanna Park-Tonks. How are you, as Swarovski, defining sustainability? In particular, what are the quantifiable metrics are you using to define the net gain in terms of sustainability for lab-grade created diamonds? Are you comfortable that you've maybe answered that, or do you want to maybe type an answer?
I think the DAX should be the one to answer on that.
Yeah, no, it's a great question, and you know what? Every business is in every sector is wrestling with that question. I mean, basically, we are, we're signed up with the Responsible Jewelry Council. We're making sure that whether it's natural stones or lab stones, that we are fully transparent, and that's one thing. The other thing is to be fully traceable. So we have to have backup information to know exactly where stones are coming from, where they're made, and that's in place. The code of conduct that all our supplier base has to sign up to, I mean, those get into the more specific metrics, because, as everyone knows, the code of conduct will cover health and safety issues, hours, pay, making sure there's no forced labor, those sorts of things. So there are various social and environmental checks, and also we're increasingly, as Mike was saying, starting to collect more environmental data in the supply chain about the energy use and the water use and the carbon emissions and so on. So, I think in terms of specific metrics, that's where the code of conduct is covering the various issues. But I think going forward, we need to be, in the sector, everyone needs to be much, much stronger. And I think the other thing I would advocate is that, if you're a supplier of lab stones or a provider of natural stones, having a science-based carbon target in place is a very important thing to do, and it's something that we as a company are working on. If I could just jump out of diamonds for a second and into Swarovski crystal making, which is something we produce. We have done also a study with TrueCost to really understand the environmental footprint of crystal making, where there's very specific metrics. And for every kilogram of crystal we produce, the total environmental cost is €2. And that is published on our website very publicly. So that's another example where we're applying very specific metrics to our sustainability journey. But thank you for the question. Great question.
It's great, Dax, that you've mentioned crystals, because that leads on to Gareth's question. Gareth Thomas asks, has the branding of these lab-grown diamonds as Swarovski led to any confusion for the consumer who may associate the brand with CZs? And in turn, how will the company be clearly associating itself with the luxury market?
Maybe I can
I think that's one for you, Barbara.
Start answering the question. To the first question, to the consumers. I mean, we have good experience with the consumers. I have to say, I'm talking here about the US market mainly so far. And here, when we first launched created diamonds, and it was test market, so in a jewelry collection with with our Swarovski created diamonds. We found out we need to do very clear education and communication, but first of all in order to educate them on the material. So this was important for them. Then there was the question, is it crystal or what is it? But if you are Swarovski or anybody else, you would have any way to explain the material of lab created diamonds. So this is that. We did not really have confusion at the point of sale. There were few customers who asked what is the difference? Is it not crystal? Is it similar to crystal, and things like that? But this is really a matter of education, and one can handle that. So we offer education and information material to the end consumer in order that they do not get confused. But the question is very important because for sure, Swarovski stands for crystal. This is the material that they know, but Swarovski stands also for other man-made material. And lab-created diamonds, they are very young, they're very new. to the consumers, and so we need to educate, and this is also a journey. So there's some work to do, and we work on that, and all the retailers that have our diamonds, they for sure get also an education package.
Could I maybe ask Barbara, given that they're two inherently different materials, the crystal and the diamond, do you apply, due to the different refractive indexes, do you and different responses to reflection and light, do you do a different brilliant faceting on them at all? Is there a difference in how you would facet the stones? A
different cut?
Yes,
yes we do.
Yes.
For the diamonds, we have the round brilliant cuts. So we actually, the benchmark is diamond, is the mined diamond for us. Yeah. So we, our lab created diamonds, normally most of them, they have the same cut as the mined diamond. So the round brilliant cut.
Yeah. Okay, lovely.
What we also offer is fancy shape. So this is something where we differentiate, and also fancy colors, as you can see here in this chart.
Yeah. And the quality of your cuts would be detailed on the certificate as well. If they were excellent, for example, that would all be denoted.
Exactly. So what we offer is only excellent and very good cut, and this is detailed. For the larger stones, it's detailed in a lab report, and there you can find all the details.
Lovely.
In the lab report, it is done more or less in the same way as a mined diamond lab report, but it mentions very clearly that it is a lab created stone.
Yeah.
Diamond, lab created diamond.
John Ball asks, what is Swarovski's forecasted output in 2021 and in 2022?
These are figures that we do not really share so far. But as I said before, we see a really huge potential, and we see also these double-digit growth figures for us as in future.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And this is a very important pillar for Swarovski.
Yeah. And I think we're all challenged with forecasting at the moment, having had 3 months of somewhat suppressed business. So any annualized figures are going to be very challenging in terms of forecasting going forward, I guess.
Yeah, it is definitely.
Yeah. Paul Gillespie asks, please can you advise the price trade in price value for lab stone compared to natural diamond if customer to upgrade to bigger stone?
I mean, this is more or less, we are talking here, I mean, we are doing here the loose stone business. So this is always also a matter of the retailer and the retailer, what he offers normally to his customers.
Yeah.
Trading in so far is hardly done. What we see, it is more a promotional topic, so that the consumer has the possibility or would have the possibility to trade in his diamond. Yeah, the answer to this question, it is a very good question, but the answer is not so clear. This is a little bit case by case and also market by market.
Yeah.
To be discussed.
Yeah. I just want to make sure everybody who's listening and watching has tuned into and is looking at the Q&As, because Michael has answered some great questions from Simon Rayner, from Stuart Poole, and from Lucy Lute. So good questions on seeds, on the processes, on language, and on context with Sibjo. Yeah, it was amazing. So please, I want to make sure everybody directs and has a look at looks at those. While the questions are still coming in, I'd like to just discuss coloured stones and lab grown. So this is how I first came across, and actually my first lab grown diamond that I sold was a fancy colour. And you know, for me, what was incredible was the colour differentiation. We talked a little bit about we know that the Argyle mine is will be closing its output, and we are anticipating potentially a reduction in the pink stones. Could you talk to us a little bit about the coloured diamond, lab-grown coloured diamond market, and especially the price differentials and some of the opportunities there?
Will I take that, or you want to answer it, Barbara?
Yeah, sure, Mike, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, as Helen, as you say correctly, when the Argyle mine will be closed for good, this will have, of course, a huge impact on, especially on fancy colors. 90% of pinks, for example, come out of Argyle. So the prices for pinks, for natural pinks, untreated pinks, will really explode. The lab-grown fancy colors, of course, also an option. You have a stone which appears to you the same. Again, we will have to take the stone to a gemologist who really has all the tools to check it, whether this is a lab-grown fancy color diamond, or if it is a natural fancy color, natural treated fancy color. But as said, the complications in Mother Nature are the same in the lab. So some colors are tricky. So the pinks, for example, that's why their prices are higher. Some colors will be easier. They will be more or less close to the white diamonds, to the colorless diamonds. Maybe Barbara, you can tell a little bit about prices. Although it's a very difficult thing, really very much depending on the specific color.
Pricing varies a lot, so it's not so easy to do a comparison in the colored diamonds as it is with the white ones. The prices, it depends very much on the color on the one hand side, and also for sure also on sizes and things like that. But we see prices of the lab-created colored, fancy colored diamonds versus the mined diamond colored diamonds so differences between 20% and up to 500% or even more. So the spread is really huge, and this depends very much on the color.
Yeah.
So as you know, the mined diamond colors and the natural colors, they can be incredibly expensive. And with the lab-created diamond colors, we can do really nice colors. So this is a fantastic area. It is still also very difficult to do the colors because as Michael mentioned before, it is a similar process that nature does, and it's not that you can just mix the ingredients together and then you have the color you need. It is a very intense process.
Yeah. I mean, this was what was fantastic for me. It was the first laboratory grown diamond that I ever sold. It was a fancy, vivid orange. It was stunning, but it was a 3-carat stone. And I was able to offer this to my customer at the most incredible price. So I have a passion of putting people and jewelry together. And this price differential really enabled me to provide this lovely customer with this fabulous diamond that we put in this beautiful bespoke setting. And she never would have been able to afford it. And that accessibility to a beautiful gemstone was something that really made me wake up to what laboratory grown diamonds were offering. And I think it leads on to Howard's question. Howard asked, retailers are used to very good support from natural diamond suppliers with loads of stones available to show their customers when needed. What support is Swarovski giving to the UK market? And is there any stock available in the UK for retailers to show their customers?
There is, I mean, it is a different thing, mined diamond availability and lab-created diamond availability. This is 2 different things. So there is much more limited availability for the lab-created diamonds, but actually, and it is just a matter of time. So, but still, that there is good availability for the main sizes, for the main qualities here. And here I just can talk about Swarovski. It depends actually it depends on the sizes, and it depends also on the colors. So if you're going into colors, then it gets a bit more difficult, because colors are available in certain sizes. Not all colors are available in the very small sizes, and there the delivery times are much higher.
Yeah. But I mean, I know that I think Howard is supplying some laboratory grown diamonds. If you're members of the CMJ, you should also know about Maidstones. They have fantastic offering. And I think we've, and one of the last slide here, we've provided contact details for Swarovski as well. I think that's all of the questions we've got at the moment. We're bang on time. So I'm just going to conclude by saying thank you so much for the questions from everybody in the chat. That was great. Thank you so much. It's been such a privilege to bring this together with Barbara, Michael and Dax. I'm really honoured that you've joined me, and thank you. I continue to learn more. For me, my industry is just about magic, and I love the magic of natural diamonds. I think they're a miracle of nature. But you know, when you look at lab grown, this is a miracle of mankind's man-made brilliance, and I've been honoured to be joined by my brilliant colleagues. So please keep your questions going, and anything more, direct them to me or to Wolfgang, and we'll look forward to seeing you again soon. Many thanks to everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.